We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
You are listening to The Underground Marketing Conspiracy, a secret ritual where entrepreneurs acquire highly classified and confidential business knowledge that the top 1% of income earners don't want you to know. And now, your host, Maddie Milligan.
What is going on, my fellow conspirator and conspirators? Welcome to another episode of The Underground Marketing Conspiracy. Woo! Now, today we actually do have a scary, spooky, creepy topic. Ooh. And it happens to be YouTube and some new rules that they have coming up. Now, if you have a YouTube channel yourself, I'm sure you've seen the warnings on your channel. And you need to set your channel to for kids or not for kids. So this is something from something called Coppa, which is the Children's Online Privacy Act. And it basically just protects the privacy of children under the age of 13, stating that they need parental consent for you to collect any information from them. So I've had all sorts of people freaking me out. Before I move forward, I just want to say this is not intended in any way whatsoever to hate on YouTube or any of the parties. I'm just really talking and sharing my opinion on this topic. Anyways, I have lots of creators I've been talking to who do some consulting with me and who I help with referring them to good YouTube advertisers as well. And something they've been very concerned about is that even though they've marked their channel for not safe for kids because it's adult content in some cases, and because there's some stuff like that, they're concerned because they're using things that are meant for children in their videos that they're suddenly going to get banned. And they're worried that they use certain words in their videos as well, and they're paranoid because now all those keywords that you could use, that you can put with your videos, and meta tags, which allow YouTube's search algorithm to work a lot better and make your videos easily discoverable. Those are now all voice-based, right? Because voice is gradually taking over, and this is why things like Google Home and Amazon's Alexa and Apple Siri, this is how those things work. They just really listen and into what you're talking about. And you've seen some of these things, for example, where it can closed caption what you say very quickly. Facebook's, for example, when I use theirs for captioning my videos, or even YouTube's, it captions it usually 95% accuracy approximately every single time. There's some cases where you have to change it and it might get the word wrong, but it's usually pretty accurate at this point. So this is where a lot of people though are worried, because they say little things in their videos and they're afraid some kid is going to go to their website and then view it, and then they're going to get in trouble. And there's all sorts of different things people have been talking about. For example, if you do you can get a $42,000 fine, you can get your comments disabled, no monetization, you lose your channel completely. And some of these people, they have several 100,000 followers, a couple million followers. So I can totally understand where they're coming from, right? Because they've spent all this time focusing on YouTube. One thing you might want to do at this point is, if you yourself do have a YouTube channel with a big following, is to use other platforms at this point. For example, start on Twitch. That might be a very quick way to get off. There's all sorts of other things. I think Steam.io has a video platform as well. I don't forget the name of it, but I know all of their stuff is built on crypto. So it's a new platform where not as many people are watching it, but it's something I've been looking at for the last couple of years and seeing if it's going to take off or not. So that's ultimately one of your safe places if you do have that content. But it's weird though, because you can say, it's like, oh, I don't want to have my video, I don't want to have my video for kids, but then kids happen to find it and then you get in trouble. And it's like, oh man, there's no way around this, right? Or even if you have some sort of thing that's like a kid's toy, I've even heard in your videos, that's something. So I would just make sure that you're following their rules first of all, but then I would tell your followers, be like, hey, there's some changes, like I've spent all this time building this, but in case anything does happen, here's the other platforms to find me on, right? Because you never know I'm sure a huge company like YouTube, there's so much pressure as well from them, from the government and all these things like the FTC. So they in this case are transferring a lot of the liability to you, who is the creator of the channel. This might be something as well, if you do have a business lawyer, I would really consult with them as well, because I'm just giving you some general advice, but this is an official legal advice. I would really recommend you speak with someone like a lawyer who knows a lot about this stuff, right? Who understands all the laws that are involved with federal trade, and just to make sure that you're properly following the guidelines, no misinterpretations, and they'll help too. If your channel does get shut down for whatever reason and you followed exactly what YouTube told you to do to a T, then you can just go back and be like, hey, like talk to your lawyer, be like, hey, here's what happened, and they can help you out with that, right? Their legal team can basically reach out to YouTube and get everything. In some cases, YouTube, I've heard they haven't enforced a lot of policies properly in some cases. This is again through, I'm not sure if it's true or not. This is just stuff that I've heard based on all of this stuff. But obviously this is just to protect kids, right? Which is very important. So to make sure that these kids, you're not collecting their information, which is a big thing, right? Because you can get in a lot of trouble when you're collecting information for anyone under the age of 13 or younger. I think there's even an episode of Silicon Valley where, Hulu gets into lots of trouble because they're collecting the information of a lot of the users for the Pied Piper app have kids that are 13 or younger, so they end up getting in a lot of trouble. So YouTube in this case is putting a more onus and responsibility on creators at this point, and just to make sure that they're following the rules and regulations as well, and just to make sure that, I guess, they don't get sued. The thing is, there's so many channels on YouTube. There's so much content uploaded every single minute. I haven't heard the statistics, but it's some insane amount of content created, and which again is a reason why, if you are creating content, you need to make original stuff that stands out and that is educational, super engaging, and entertaining for your followership. But I would really just, again, follow the rules in this case, right? Don't be an outlier and don't do something different. You might need to remove some of the videos or edit them in some cases and change them just to make sure that you're following all the proper regulations, which again is why I would probably speak with someone who knows about this topic from a legal point of view a little bit better than I do. And I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of people and all sorts of weird channels getting shut down on January 1st. If there is a big enough stir from this, then this is where, again, YouTube is going to lose a lot of credibility, right? And people are going to look for other alternatives for their video. They're like, YouTube at this point, I mean, they've spent the last 10 years really building viewership, building all sorts of followers. And I mean, even me, I get a lot of my content on YouTube, right? It's pretty much my number one spot where I go for all sorts of things, because it gives me different perspective from a lot of the mainstream media, I find, and it just allows me to see both sides of the stories. It allows me to, when I hear something, I'm kind of like, all right, let me learn more about that. I go and search for a video. If I want to find how to do something, it's the perfect spot to also find how to do things, right? When I'm working on fixing my bikes outside, I'll usually just have my phone there, one of them with music, and then the other one at the same time is just, I'm looking at a video on how to do something. Maybe I've forgotten something, or I'm like, which tool do I need to do for this? Do I even own that tool to do this specific task? It's just a very good search engine, right? But I think there's just a lot of gray area with these things, and I'm sure a lot of people are worrying. But again, I would just recommend, if you do have a big channel, then that's something where, again, I would probably speak with some sort of lawyer or legal representative on how to do this, right? Just to make sure that you're not going to be liable and how you're not going to be held personally responsible, even when you did follow all the rules and regulations. Hopefully this gave you a quick understanding of what Coppa is, how it can affect your YouTube channel, and really just some simple steps that you need to take just to make sure that you're complying with all of the right rules. And if you did like today's video, I want you to consider subscribing. Maybe there's someone else that you know out there who has a YouTube channel and they just need to be aware of this. Maybe they haven't uploaded a video in a while and I know a lot of people don't upload as much content specifically in November and December, and they either because they want to spend more time with their family and just relax and then prepare for the next year. So this might be something you want to share with them really quickly, just to make sure that they themselves aren't going to get in any trouble and get their channel taken down, get held liable for $42,000, and just to make sure again that, they're flagging their content and saying, hey, I don't make my content for kids, right? And, all the stuff in my video is meant for adults. Just make sure that you're absolutely crystal clear on that. Once again, my name is Matty Milligan, and I will see you next time on another episode of the Underground Marketing Conspiracy. Woo!